Good morning, everybody. All right. Let's get rid of that. So good morning, everybody. So, hey, day number 2. We got Claudia Scheinbaum. I'm going to go over some of this because they did a video about 4 hours ago. The details of the operation of what went on per the president of Mexico. And again, I can start this video off by stating that a guy by the name of Pierre Rossini, a convicted drug trafficker here in the United States, about a week ago, 6 days ago, maybe 7 days ago, recently called out on Ironclad with Vince Rocco Vargas that El Mencho's days were numbered. And I don't know if that was a lucky guess. I don't know how it is. A guy that's been documented as being in Mexico only one time for some type of New Year's Eve or birthday party or something new. Particularly being a convicted felon, if he's still running around with drug cartels or whatever. If he's that. If he just is some guy that's really politically astute and figured it out. Or if he's a Fed. I don't know. I don't know how he got that one right, but he did. Congratulations to you, Mr. Rossini. I don't know how you're an expert on cartel stuff, but you got that one right. Give credit where credit's due. He called it. Cool. Getting into what Mrs. Scheinbaum has to say. The details of the operation. The President's Cabinet explains that the operation to locate El Mencho was primarily conducted by Mexican military intelligence. This is the Secretary of National Defense and Claudia Scheinbaum and her cabinet saying this in Spanish. That with additional information provided by U.S. authorities, they emphasized that U.S. forces did not participate in this operation itself, only shared intelligence. The national security strategy, the government security strategy implemented since October 1st is highlighted as having 4 main pillars. Addressing the root causes, this aims to make it harder for organized crime to recruit young people. This has been one of my main proponents since day one in terms of fighting the drug war. And it's crazy that they lead with this. You're going to see that everything they lead with ultimately allows the government to have more power anyways, which has also been something that I've routinely stated. But if you really want to win the drug war, you need to make it possible for people to have futures other than just going and joining a cartel because they don't have anything to eat or because they're traversing the country. There's that. Strengthening the National Guard is the second pillar. This is a complex but progressing effort. Ed and I agree. And Ed Calderon has spoken about this, and nothing I say should be taken as it's something that Ed himself would endorse. Ed has his voice, I have mine, and so that's what it is. That being said, Ed and I do agree that every 6 years there's a different strategy. Somebody new gets in and they take issue with the way the previous administration has done it, or they want to give their friends jobs. Everything, there's turmoil every 6 years in Mexico. And so it always leads to a restructuring of what's going on. And this is in no way me being critical of the Mexican government. This is just me having my opinion as someone that's lived in Mexico for a long time and worked for the government of Mexico. That every 6 years they run into something to where they're going to dismantle the current National Guard and come up with something else. You've seen it happen from Agencia Federal de Investigación to the Secretaría de Seguridad Pública, who I work for, to then after that I would think it was CNG or CNS, the Comisión Nacional de Seguridad Now it's the Guardia Nacional, and this has just been in the last few years, man. So, what happens after Scheinbaum's no longer there? It's interesting. I was talking about it yesterday. I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to leave the politics out of it. I'm just going to stick with this. Coordination. I talked about this yesterday on yesterday's video, and sure enough, here we are this morning. I got one right, too. This involves national, international cooperation, particularly with the U.S. So Scheinbaum herself is already publicly stating to the Mexican public, whom she just told the U.S. did not have any kinetic operations going on in Mexico, but now she's saying that she's opening the door for cooperation between the United States and Mexico. So I just said yesterday I expected to see American boots on the ground in Mexico within the next year, and here we are the day after. It's right there. So there's that. Aftermath and public safety, the fourth pillar. Following the operation, there were reports of unrest, including suspending flights and bus services. The president reassures the public that roads are clear and federal and state forces are coordinated to maintain peace and tranquility. She also mentions that some universities suspended classes but expects a return to normalcy soon. From what I've seen, all the schools are going to be shut down today in Mexico given what's going on. She's trying to save face right there. And, I really need to be critical about what I say. Mexico can grant or not grant me access to Mexico just because I was born here in the States at will. So being critical of Mexico is something I tread carefully with. That being said, any politician is going to try. They are concerned with public appearances. And I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just saying that it does happen that people can say one thing and maybe they're overlooking something, or something might not necessarily be the case. Full disclosure, I maintain a home here in the United States, and I maintain a home in Mexico as well. And not only that, I'm routinely in different spots of this country anyways because of family issues and whatnot regarding my parents' health. So I jump around a lot, but I do need to be careful about what I say about Mexico, but I also need to be honest. And I am being honest. She's also talking about, having been an aerospace factory manager, there are things that go on with contractual obligations when you are required to provide components that will provoke a line stoppage if they're not delivered, to where you can be fined up to $1 million a day for certain major aerospace companies. So when they're saying that the roads aren't being shut down and that they're clear and open and that flights will be resuming, you can look at the beginning of the video I posted yesterday where I'm playing Iggy Pop in the front of it. Down on the Street is the name of that song. Going through and seeing what's happening down on the street. It looks like roads are closed. Also, something else that I wanted to point out from yesterday's video regarding El Mencho and his cohorts dying en route on a flight from Jalisco to Mexico City, which isn't that long of a flight. It's probably less than an hour to fly from Jalisco to Mexico City. Almost. I'm dead sure I'm right on that. They all died, but the Mexican soldiers that were also transported to a hospital did not die, as far as I know. So it would be interesting to see if 3 soldiers that were also injured in the same battle didn't die, but the 3 cartel guys did. Something that people are going to look at. I'm not saying anything happened or suggesting anything. I'm just saying that people are going to have a look at that. Let's see here. I'm going to pause this 1 second. I want to delete something off my storage. All right, let's continue with this. Continuing. And I want to make it clear, I'm leading with official statements directly from the Mexican government because there's so much that's going to come out in the days to come with people having all this unprecedented access. Hey, I do want to say this to all the cartel content creator all you cartel content writers that work for all the major cartel YouTube news agencies, I want to put forth an express challenge to each of you to go out and interview members of Cartel de Jalisco de Nueva Generación right now. Please do it. All you guys know who you are. Go out and interview them right now. Do a live feed on it. Show us all you walking up to any place where you're pretending to meet any of these guys. Make sure it's more than one. Make sure it's a few of them because they'll have friends. And post it live on video and let us know what you get. I'm dying to know. I'm sure you will be too. You'll find out. International cooperation and sovereignty reiterates Mexico's communication and cooperation with the U.S. on security matters, emphasizing that it is based on principles of respect for sovereignty, shared responsibility, mutual trust, and cooperation without subordination. In that, it does not say that the United States military will not be operating in Mexico. It says respect for sovereignty. That could be anything. Military preparedness and morale. The Secretary of Defense highlights the high level of training and morale of Mexican military personnel, citing their achievements in international special forces competition. You know, I recently called out Sean Ryan on a show for just friendly sparring with rubber ammunition. His guys over there at Ironclad or whatever versus me and my brothers, I don't know if my guys are up to it, but I would like to see that because it's a perishable skill and people just to post it, you know, no chest thumping, no anything, just see what happens, you know. I'm just interested because a lot of people do think that Mexico's a subpar country and that's crazy to think that. I'm actually on the side of the Secretary of Defense in Mexico when it comes to that. Mexico, be it Army, Marines, federal or state agents of either preventative or ministerial capacity, are all very, very well versed in combat and anything that you would think that the United States military or special forces are involved in. I would like to see more. I would love to see a combat game like that, man. I would be elated if I was. We don't even have to film it. Just give me the opportunity to go over there. And Sean, if you want to film that, I'm giving you the opportunity to shoot me with rubber bullets, man, in private. I would love, just straight up, no ego, no anything. I would just love to come to your place and like hang out for the day, man. For real. Throwing that out there. You, Sean Ryan, and you, Vincent Vargas. In fact, Vince, I'm going to message you right here in a little bit with the same thing. I'm not going to publish it as far as anything, but I am throwing that out there publicly. I'm not going to publish the message. I'm throwing it out there publicly that I think that would be cool to hang out with you guys for a day and just get to know each other. I would love that. I think you guys are both rock stars, man. Seriously. You and Sean are both people that I aspire to be in a lot of ways, man. Combating money laundering. The government is actively working against money laundering and shell companies with various institutions coordinating efforts into investigations into law firms advising cartels on financial schemes are ongoing. I've stated this for a long time. The only way to combat the cartel is to either fight their capacity to earn money. When you make something illegal, you drive up the capacity for it. When you make it impossible to get normal jobs, you push people to that as a living. In Spanish, you would call it "en qué te dedicas," or what are you dedicated to, or what do you do for a living? We ask this all the time at our checkpoints in Mexico because we're looking for people that are involved in something, anything that sounds fishy. And really, it is true that a lot of people that you come across are either going to be farmers, there'll be miners, there'll be factory workers, where the United States, Korea, Japan, Netherlands have all gone in and put in factories there. The United States, of course. But you'll be looking for people. A lot of times, people don't have any opportunity to go learn something. And so you'll always ask people, and I'm putting that out there for contrast When people are pulled over in the United States, they aren't asked, what do you do for a living? It's just assumed that you have a normal job. But in Mexico, that's not the case. And so we will routinely ask people, ¿En qué te dedicas? ¿De dónde trabajas? Where do you work? It's always along these lines because there are so few opportunities for so many in Mexico that trying to trip somebody up that way is commonplace. And so we'll ask that routinely. You have to bolster the future of everyday Mexicans and even Americans at this point in order to keep them from going down the wrong path, because people are going to find a way to eat and pay for their existence on earth. They have to. If survival is an instinct that you happen to possess, which most people do. No amnesty for capos. The president states that while there is always a call for criminals to surrender, the government has not considered the option of not extraditing capos in exchange for their voluntary surrender, as seen in other countries like Colombia. The focus remains on reducing homicides and high-impact crimes, with a strong emphasis on protecting the population. I'm not going to be critical of that last statement at all. I'm not going to be critical of that last statement at all. I'm just going to send you over to INEGI, which is the Instituto Nacional de Estadística y Geografía, which is the National Institute in Mexico for Statistics and Geography, which tracks everything in the country. Any type of data, cifra in Spanish, number, anything having to do with geography, they track all of it. INEGI. INEGI. Okay? INEGI. I got it right. INEGI. Go over to them, pull up their state. You know what? Let's just do it online right now. One sec. It looks like this, okay? And they have it in English too. I'm sorry the light in the background is getting in that. And so anyways, when you're going into that, you can have this in English too. It looks like that in English. And you can come in here and you can search whatever you want. Fatalities 2025. And you know what? It's not going to have it in English. You have to search it in Spanish, which I've kind of figured. So I'm going to pause this and switch it back to Spanish because I switched it to English for you to see. And so I switched it to Spanish, and when I put in the search function, I'm going to get rid of this light. One sec. That light's got to go. There we go. Much better. When you put it... Oh, wow, that one's doing the deal too. When you go like this, and you put fallecidos, I'll screenshot that and stick it in. When you put fallecidos, which is the same as fatalities or deaths in Spanish, you can pull up the year 2023, 2024, which is the most recent one. Población de funciones accidentales y violentas por sexo y grupo quintessential. So, deaths, accidental deaths, and violent deaths by gender and group, by age, etc. And we pull this up. And so then it'll pull up a questionnaire about what you're looking for. So right here, you can pull up these pages and you can go and it will have the exact data on anything you're looking for regarding how many people died within the Mexican Republic or whatever. And that leads me to my next point. Everybody and their mother's talking about El Mencho right now. My wife was obviously writing about it because she's a Mexican by birth, and so just not emotional, just saying things the way that they are. A friend asked recently, just on this most recent post, that aren't we happy that Trump is going over helping Mexico sort out the corruption in Mexico? Just real stuff. It's just what's being said out there. And this is a family friend of some time. And her and I basically stopped talking because even though she's Christian, she subscribes to supporting Judeo-Christianity and everything. She subscribes to everything the Israeli state does, which includes killing all the babies in Gaza, which I'm completely against. I'm not seeing anywhere in the Bible where it says unaliving babies in their cribs in the middle of the night is a good thing. And I don't care if that loses me every subscriber that I got. I'm not here to make friends punchy. I'm here to say what's on my mind, and that's it, based on my own unique perspective. So anyways, that's the background on her. And her and I have both voted for Trump, so go figure. I'm also watching all the comments that I get on Julie and Dory, you know. I don't know if I don't have armies of other people's fans going over getting upset with my political opinion, or because I've been critical of people that make videos and I sit there and pick them apart, because there's a lot to pick apart. Staying on this, and there's just so much I could get off in the weeds in that one. Staying on this, they're talking about corruption in Mexico, overlooking the fact that Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, all of whom have had access to all the non-existent Epstein files, and there's nothing in the files. The files are on my desk. They're not on my desk. Yes, there is some child trafficking going on, but we don't really know who it is, and we're going to bring Ghislaine Maxwell to Texas to a nicer prison and talk to her about making a deal or whatever. Nobody's been arrested. But Mexico's bad, and oh yeah, there's fentanyl coming out of Venezuela, even though the DOJ and DEA both state that there's not in that threat vector. Everybody and their mother in the comment sections have already picked a side based on what their immediate perception is, no matter how educated or uneducated it is. And so you can't really have an honest conversation with things. They want to talk about corruption in Mexico, but we've got this entire distraction from the Epstein files and the entire distraction from the state of the world as a whole anyways. As I was saying yesterday, threatening military action and everything, and the BRICS community aligning against all of us. There's a lot to unpack here. And then on top of it, you're going to be preached to by people that have been in Mexico one time, that's been documented on all things cartel south of the border. I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it again because I'm going to end the video right after this. It's about a 15-minute, well, there's the other half to it. I want you to validate every single thing I tell you. I do not ever want you just to take me at my word on anything, even if it's my past, anything. Challenge every single thing that I say, and then find out whether you can verify it, whether you cannot verify it because it's just something you will never have access to. For example, what goes on between us in the middle of the night in the middle of the Mexican desert when no one's there. You can't validate any of it. Validate and corroborate every single witness and everything. But the only thing that I'm asking you to do is just hold that standard unilaterally and apply it to everybody and everything you see or hear on YouTube, particularly by people that are driven by financial incentive to monetize their channels and sell products. Particularly when it's something that is a subject of a gravity where people are going to lose their lives and their well-being and their quality of life on both sides of the border. Which means in Mexico, obviously, but also here. Because what happens in Mexico does affect us here. That doesn't mean we should stand by and not do anything about the cartel problem or the problem with drugs or the problem with homelessness, the state of the economy, the corruption that goes on in the American government, and the people that sign off on it. Because to be honest, let's just be honest here. You could have people in office right now that come out and have nude pictures of children in a room somewhere and have the politician standing in the same room with a picture of it, right? And you'll have people make excuses for these people. And I'm not just referring to the American government. I'm talking about to things that have already happened in terms of the Norwegian government, the English government. There are Saudis involved. There's so many people. It's so big, and no one is arrested. But hey, they're selling some drugs down in Mexico. Let's go focus on that. Corruption in Mexico. There's global corruption, and you have people on both sides. It's not just a right or left dichotomy or diaspora. There are people on both sides that will sign off on corruption. And there are also people that sit there to pretend to uphold the Constitution while they trample it right in front of you and make excuses for it because somebody did something a few days previous or whatever. Their application of the law is inconsistent. So that's enough for me out of the day. Not really going to edit this. I'm looking forward to doing a couple more things. Mostly, I'm working on this stuff over here. And that's what I'm doing. And we're going to try to bring some truthfulness to everything on YouTube in terms of what you're being told by people that have been in Mexico one time and being paraded as cartel experts, or by British journalists that are in Mexico that are recognized journalists but don't have the access that they think that they do. They don't prove it. Or other people that claim to be based in Mexico but are probably there on a tourist visa. I don't know. I'm going to go drive down to my lawyer right now because there's more stuff that I would like to say. There's a recent... there is such a thing as fatigue and truth fatigue. When you tell people too much and then they just can't deal with it and they get tired of it. There's more that I want to say you. I want to give it to you on a based, emotionalist level, and then let you be the judge of what you see in here. I need to talk to a lawyer before I do that again, because I've already been talking to my lawyer. I need to talk to him again because I've got hard, fast phone calls that I've had with people. I'm going to burn bridges because there's just things that go on behind the scenes in this entire genre of stuff that you're not even aware of. And that people will blow you off forever until you start building a database and then start using open source intelligence right here to methodically tear apart their claims, and then people don't like it because they have a lot of money. And I mean, by a lot of money, right here on this count, there's $655 million across 39 internet YouTube personalities. That's their worth. And so they're not going to let that go easily. So I have stuff. I have hard, fast interviews with people in Mexico that people have interviewed, to where that person in Mexico in Spanish refutes the entire thing. I'm probably going to have to look at releasing the entire unedited phone call to prove everything. I have interviews with Navy SEALs that I've got recorded to where they're asking directly the names of the people that actually train people, because it's not a state secret, because people have come out. I've asked people directly, or I've asked YouTube podcasters directly whether or not they validated anything that they were told in terms of stories that they put forward about Mexican cartel hitmen, and then I'm told by them that they have not, and I'm told that I will be given their contact data that they've lost, but they're going to give me their last contact data. They never give it to me. And then most recently, I have someone that's interested in talking to a Cartel de Jalisco, de Nueva Generación hitman at the end of their video. I emailed the guy. He emails me right back within 3 minutes asking me if I have Signal app. I go look at Signal app, decide that I don't want it. I get back to him 10 minutes later and then tell him I will fly immediately, like the very next day, to wherever he's at so we can have an in-person discussion. He emails me back telling me that he wants a phone call first. I email him back and give him my phone number, and he realizes it's me because we've spoken before on a different email account, and then all of a sudden he doesn't want to talk, even though I have direct experience. These are all things that go on behind the lines. And then on top of that, I have him then contact his buddy, who is someone that I've already done a podcast with, sit there and have his friend blow up my phone, not blow up my phone, but call me twice in rapid succession, making sure, and then ask me what the F I told this guy. So that's kind of an emotional response. And then I asked the guy, and it'll come out after I talk to my lawyer, it'll come out just to make sure that I've got all of my bases covered. It'll come out. I sent him a very reasonable email talking about how I picked apart whether or not he actually had an actual cartel phone number that he put in one of his videos that I called. It was a burner phone. I'm not saying the guy's lying. I'm just saying that it's not something you can verify, and it's in his video. Then he comes out and says that he's got cartel operators that are looking at 25 to 35 years. They admit that the cartel is dangerous, but their best instinct is to come out and put their face, or their stature, more correctly, all over YouTube on something that's going to get millions of views or hundreds of thousands of views while they're under indictment, working for a cartel that they admit will kill them and could kill their children, because they have 3 children, I think. Look into all that. One of 48 people indicted on an indictment that's 2 years old that he puts in his video like it's brand new. And none of this is emotional. I'm just going down everything that's presented to us and determining whether it's true, whether it's not true. Can you verify it? Yes or no? Is it partially true? There are these different things that you can get into. And apparently people don't like being challenged that way because they want to sell boots. I don't know, man. Not boots per se. It could be anything. It could be website, web hosting. What are they putting there in their videos that were their ads put in there? So I address all this, and then this guy that I sent this email to sends it to the guy that I just got done doing a video with, accuses me of being schizophrenic, which I am not. And then all of a sudden I get this video released with me being a skinhead, and that's the title of the video, which is already going to push a bunch of people off, potentially, because that's their best move, is to minimize the amount of exposure that I have. What I have to do is I have to remain unemotional. People want to attack my grill. I'm going to do a video, and they have attacked it several times. I'm not sore about it. I'm not sensitive about it, but people have brought it up several times. I have dental insurance, very good dental insurance, that I've been to several times over the last couple years, fixing my grill, believe it or not. I've been in there on several occasions, and so has my wife. And because I have had an implant previously, they will not allow me to attribute $1,500 credit towards the treatment of my tooth because it's previously had an implant. And I'm going to do a video on that because I think it's crazy that people without insurance, or people that are impoverished, or people that have great federal jobs can all get great grills, but if you work 2 full-time jobs, you can't get yours replaced, which is weird to me. So I'm not, just to address that topic in particular, because it's been brought up in the comment section on the most recent video. I'm looking at that. I'm going to prove what goes on and prove how long I've had insurance and prove whether or not I do take the time to take care of myself, because I do. Because the way you do one thing is the way that you do everything, right? So we need to just nip that one in the bud. He sends my entire email to his buddy. I get called back immediately, to which I respond to the original guy, who won't email me back, but he'll email his buddy in New Jersey. I'm going to cut that part out. He'll email his friend who'd been sitting on a video that we'd done, and then releases it the same day. Which is to say that the guy either released it to do damage control on his end, and he's got content creators and stuff like that that work for him. The guy's a major guy. But he immediately the same day, and I've got receipts of all this, releases my video, but with an unattractive title, which is going to drive people away. And then there's a slew of comments in there talking about all of me being, they won't attack my substance. They'll attack my political ideology because they disagree with it, which is fine. But then they'll do personal attacks. I'm gay, whatever. I don't mind. They can say whatever they want about me. But attack the substance of what I'm saying and refute it with evidence. That's all I'm asking. So I need to sit here and address all of this stuff openly. That video is released. I don't know if he will release part 2. I doubt it. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But it's released that same day. And I'm bringing this all up to point out this thing. I was ghosted by the entire cartel YouTube commentary community for about 2 years. Even longer in some specific cases. But the moment I started using methodology to attack their claims, not attack their claims, I don't like that word. The moment I started using methodology to verify whether or not people were being truthful or not, or whether it's partially truthful, or whether it's something that couldn't be verified at all, the moment I started doing that with the content that people consume on YouTube, I started getting answers from people, direct messages, phone calls, emails, to where I'd just been blown off completely, because now I have something that I can aim at all of us, including myself, and I want you to do that because I want us to know the truth. To where now I'm starting to get these people's attention, and at the end of the year, when my project's complete, I'm doing it in conjunction with school. Oh, that's something else. The Mexican lawyer thing. Do they have law school in Mexico? You can't be so stupid as to think that the United States is the only country with laws and lawyers. I mean, that barely even dignifies a response or warrants a response. Yes, they have lawyers in Mexico. No, it's not Costco. Yes, I read every single one of your comments. To the Omega Ranger guy, prove that you're in a mission in Mexico with boots on the ground, Mr. Classified, but you're talking about it on YouTube. There's just so much that needs to... I don't need to have the YouTube presence or footprint that these other people do. I just need to not be emotional. I need to be right. I don't need to be the first dog on a bone when it's released like Mencho yesterday. I just need to make sure that I dot all my I's and cross all my T's. I'm sorry, man, my wife called me. I need to make sure that I protect myself legally. However, as long as I make sure that everything that I say has been publicized or published by people, it's out in the open sphere, I can use this at will, as can you, and then we can verify whether or not what people say is true. I've also critiqued people on other stuff to where they have their owner of their company coming right out and say that they're worried about their ROI or return on investment, that they're worried about being entertaining, engaging, or empowering. And if it checks 2 of those 3 boxes, educational, entertaining, and engaging, and if it checks 2 of those 3 boxes, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. If it checks 2 of those 3 boxes, then they're okay with going with it, which means it doesn't even have to be educational, which is to say potentially it doesn't even have to be true, as long as it's engaging and entertaining, because they're worried about their ROI, which is not investigative journalism. It's exactly high stakes storytelling, because that's what it is. They're spinning a yarn. It doesn't even have to be true, and I know this because I've called the people directly in Mexico and got it right out of their mouth that the clandestine rehab is not cartel operated. The people are not kidnapped. In fact, they contradict themselves in their own video about whether the people are kidnapped or whether or not they are able to leave and go back and forth for work. So they contradict themselves several times in that video. And this is an international cartel expert per some major podcast with like 6 million subscribers, because they've been in Mexico. I don't know what their exact status in Mexico is. They won't publish their visa or stay it directly, even though I've brought this up several times. So, I'm saying all that to say this. Going forward, there are going to be a lot of people that are sitting there claiming to have cartel members that are operatives for the Cartel de Jalisco, de Nueva Generación, and they're not going to prove it. And we need to make sure that we sit there and pick everything apart. And I'm saying this before the other half of whatever I have published comes out. And people are either going to be truthful. Oh, I was told this too. I was told people, I'm going to read the message to you so you can see it, because it's really kind of, I contacted this guy after he listed my video. And he has yet to respond to my comment on his video. He has yet to respond to my text. So I know I'm striking a nerve. Dave, what the F did you say to blank, the YouTube guy I called out? And then he calls me, and that was at 2:23 p.m. I have him call me at 2:22 p.m., 2:23 p.m., or 2:23 p.m. and 2:24 p.m. I pick up the phone because I was busy with something. I talk to him immediately. When I text him, he doesn't call me, and I've even got a thing on here where I talk to him, hey, am I persona non grata now? Because he hadn't posted anything, and it had been like a couple weeks or whatever. He gets back to me, so I mean, there's that. And then he tells me that he talked to the guy and hopefully cleaned it up a bit for you. Your email was crazy, though, LMAO. There was nothing crazy about my email. I'm going to read it to you right now. Then he tells me, just be careful, man. The call-out shit is not a good culture online. You do not want to be known as that guy. You seem to have a great personal story and experience, and that, along with your personal expertise, where relevant, is what you should focus on, in my opinion. So let's go to the email. Yeah, you know what? This is a good time to do this video. I'm just going to do it right now. If you want to hang out and listen to it, cool. Let's go to right here. This guy just recently put up a video earlier this week talking about, at the very end of the video, wanting to talk to members of Cartel de Jalisco, de Nueva Generación. So I sent him an email immediately that said, let's talk. This was 4 days ago. And then he's like, do you have the Signal app? He contacted me 3 minutes later. And then I was still sending him an email while he sent that because it was so fast. It says, or no, I respond, no, if you want, I'll fly to meet you at my expense. And he responded in the interim while I was saying, if you're free tomorrow or this weekend, let me know. Meaning I will fly to him immediately on my dime to go have just dinner with him and talk. He responds with, let's start with a call. I'd like to learn more about you and what we'd be covering. And if it makes sense for us to do a story together, 100%, let's get to work. This is him sent from his iPhone. I send him my email. Right here. Or my phone number. When I send him my phone number, he realizes that it's me from my other email account because I've talked to him before and he's ghosted me for whatever reason previously, presumably because I've been critical of Ed Calderon, of whom I did verify with Baja California State Police that Ed absolutely did work there. So people already don't like me in this sphere, and a lot of times they'll think that you're clout chasing, but let's just make something super clear. I was there working in uniform for all you YouTube commenters that want to see me have my face peeled or have the cartel do their thing with me. I was there risking that, as were my brothers, as were every other member of the Mexican federal and state and municipal security forces, even though a lot of times they're viewed as corrupt and will lead to lack of prosecution because the Dow Jones in the United States is doing so good all the way out of it. I'm not the one chasing clout. YouTube personalities are the ones chasing clout, okay? Let's just be clear about that. The tail doesn't wag the dog. We don't put the cart before the horse. The people that are doing the work are the ones with the authority and are the ones that know what's going on. And the people that are selling boots or websites on their YouTube channels back in the United States are the ones that are chasing clout and money. Not the ones that are sitting there relaying their experience, whatever that looks like, whatever the topic is. Hey, such and such, this is my email to him. We'll let you decide whether this is schizophrenic. And I'm going to republish the phone video that I did picking this thing apart. And then I'm going to republish the video where I picked apart everything in this thing. And we're going to sit there and gradually release half-truths or complete lies that are given to you. But first, the email. Hey, such and such, I have a call tomorrow morning. This is after he's blown me off for more than a half an hour, so I just decided to do this. I have a call tomorrow morning with a major podcaster that does a lot of cartel-related content. I've been watching all of yours and their content for quite a while now, and at this point have actually directly fought Cartel de Jalisco de Nueva Generación Zacatecas firsthand. Not at all in exaggeration. Continuing. I have a question. Because I've been going through everyone's videos and creating an OSINT, which is Open Source Intelligence Database, I'm also pursuing a law degree in this country and have recently found some major holes and have interviewed an interviewee that was featured on one of these podcasts where he refutes many of their claims directly. A lot of you have acted as gatekeepers to cartel-related content, even though none of you have any direct experience, bearing in mind that proximity is not being cartel, nor is it cartel experience. I'm just stating this because even with your last video, I've called the burner phones that you put in your videos previously, couldn't be verified. And now you have someone that claims to smuggle 2 ounces at a time inside of a woman, but the cubic inch volume inside of a passenger vehicle tire will fit up to 30 kilos at a density of 15.2 grams per cubic inch. Even at 15 keys, that would take that same guy more than 250 trips to complete the same. And then he goes to the corner liquor store parking lot to sell $40 worth at a time, and that passes his cartel level distribution question mark. So I'm challenging the people that are sit there, and even the lady that he says is bringing over 15 kilos at a time. I'm deviating from the email briefly. She states in that video that she places 15 kilos in a SUV passenger vehicle, which carries generally a 215 55 R17 tire, which is the measurements of the tire, has a certain cubic inch or volume of cubic inches that you can fit inside. Could potentially put 30 kilos in there, but she's only going to fill it half full, which also doesn't make sense. Back to the email. Let me be clear. I was doing agrarian law in Mexico. It isn't high speed or flashy. Oh, for all of you detractors out there wondering whether or not I'm doing law in Mexico. Yes, I was. It was a specific law office, and it was doing agrarian law, helping people in the United States and in Mexico figure out who has the right to sembrar or harvest and utilize large tracts of farmland. Okay? Let me be clear. I was doing agrarian law in Mexico. It isn't high speed or flashy, but it is law. It is in Mexico. I'm currently working on making a jump to here. It is concerning that you cartel content creators never actually feature someone that can be validated or proven, and when offered the chance, you refuse to take them up on it, which would be me in my case. I'm not seeking your buy-in. I'm using this conversation solely as just another data point, and you'll either acquiesce or not. I'm not asking entry into your world. You're acting as though you've been granted entry into mine or my brother's. One where my brothers have been murdered against the same people you pretend to interview. Serious business. If you have anyone that is claiming to be from them, which would be Cartel de Jalisco de Nueva Generación, I will go meet any of them, anytime, anywhere. You just let me know where and when. I've already done it at work in Mexico, and I'll do it now. And I'll do it with you. We can all go have a big picnic. Throwing that challenge out there to anybody. If you have anyone claiming to be from them, I will meet them in person in Mexico or anywhere else, and we can do a 3-way interview together. If you're telling the truth, it'll just give you clout. I'm not trying to be abrasive. I'm just not going to be blown off or ignored by outsiders, which, with total respect, you are. Additionally, this could have been easier said in person or over the phone, but you blew me off last time, so I figured now that I've been on major podcasts and have started to gain momentum, I'd hit you up again and give you an opportunity to work together to bring people truth. I'll close with, it is strange that cartel content investigative journalists that report quasi-news have creative writers in their employ when they're bringing you news. News doesn't need it. I know because I have a call with a couple of them tomorrow regarding their content. Do what you will with this. Call, doesn't matter. I have a story. I was there directly in an official capacity that I can verify publicly, that I don't have to hide, and I'm not afraid of cartel or covering my face. Cheers. So nothing in that email is schizophrenic. It's calling them out on their way of doing business. And I'm going to put this out there because I've been days to respond to the comment that he's got on his last video. Hasn't done it. I'm going to bleep his name out. I've given him several days to either call me back on my phone or text me back. He hasn't done that. And I get him being loyal to his friend. But when you're running a major podcast and you're trying to present people with the truth, you know, he might tank my other video right now, the one where I'm talking about what I'm doing in Mexico. And maybe people would be interested in seeing that. Maybe they wouldn't. You know, I'm not even going to, I will bleed his name out until I talk to the lawyer. Enough out of me for the day. Have a great day. I hope you guys are having fun. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming forward, and we're going to make sure that what's being told to people is the truth, because there are a lot of severe consequences involved for everybody, including you.